Hi everybody, I hope that your fractions quiz went well and you're feeling really good about it. If you are not, you do still want to make sure you're practicing fractions and getting the help that you might need, so that way when a test rolls around, you'll be fully prepared for it, because fractions will come up again and again throughout the year. Okay, first thing that I want you to do here is this do now. So pause it, write down the problems, or print out the handout or all of the slides, your choice. You don't even have to print, but you can, and write these down and do them. Okay, so 3 squared means 3 times 3, which is 9. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. And this one's just 3 minus 3, so it's 0. And we know it's a minus because it's almost like saying 3 and negative 3. It's almost like you could put a comma between them. It's like a list. There's nothing else joining them together but the minus sign. So it's like 3 and negative 3 is 0. Okay, order of operations. You probably have learned PEMDAS before. You might have learned GEMS. GEMS is my favorite for a lot of reasons. One of the major reasons is this one. It's called groupings. I like this way better than parentheses because groupings are really the key to it, right? We're not just finding one parenthesis. There's a lot of different ways groupings are defined, and we'll talk about that on the next slide. Exponents, multiplication and division. Those are the same step from left to right. Same step, left to right. So you would just do all the multiplication, all the division, whatever comes first, moving in that direction. And then this one is, again, subtraction and addition, also the same step, just moving from left to right. Okay, here we go. Groupings. Here are 3 examples of different types of groupings. The first set of grouping that you might see is parentheses. Right, the good old-fashioned ones. And when you have 2 numbers inside of parentheses, your first inclination might be to distribute that 4. I don't want you to do that. If you can simplify, do. Because 4 times 5 and 4 times 3 is not as easy as 4 times 2. So we're going to do what's inside this box first, 8. Now, if you've had me before as a teacher, you will know I really like to draw these. It's almost what I call them is a zoom-in box. You know how when you're on a computer and you really want to see just like this picture right here, you take a box and you like drag a zoom-in box around and it makes it like really big, right? And then like you've got the same picture except now it's like much bigger. Right? You can like zoom into it, you can just like focus. That's what we're doing here. We're going to see that more as we move forward. Another grouping is in a numerator. A numerator is a group, and a denominator is a group. Now within a grouping, you still have to follow the same order of operations. So it's almost like when you're doing the G in GEMS, you're doing all of the gems as well. You're doing like G and then what's inside there before you do a bigger M's, right? You're doing the same order, but within the group. Okay, so the numerator is one group, 12. The denominator is another group, -5. We can't simplify that fraction because they don't have any common factors, so we can just be done. It's algebra, and proper fractions are awesome. And another set of groupings is absolute value. So you do what's inside first. Simplify. Can you read that? No. Simplify inside first. So the absolute value bars would stay the same, and we would make this -3, which is 3. Okay? Exponents. Exponents is pretty straightforward, except for when there's negative signs involved. This is saying 4 times 4, which is 16. This here is saying, remember those other words here? We're saying the opposite of 4 squared. It's also saying -4 squared, but the only thing that squared is touching is the actual 4. So that negative sign comes down and it's -4 times 4, which is negative 16. You have to be very careful that whatever the exponent is touching, is the thing that's being repeated, is the only thing being raised to the exponent. Or it's repeated, but that's a bad word for it, but I'm going to use it for now because that's what it means. Like, boom, boom, like I doubled it because that was 2. If it was 3, you would write it 3 times 4, write it 4. But again, that's the only thing being repeated. This squared symbol is touching the parentheses. So the parentheses are the thing that gets repeated, if you will. Now it's negative 4 times negative 4, which is 16, positive 16. So 3 different little pieces here. These 2 are the same. It's all about writing that repeat multiplication. That makes it a lot easier. Simplifying some expressions. We're going to do a checklist. Are there any groupings? No. Exponents. Right here. Draw a zoom-in box. And the zoom-in box only goes around what the exponent is touching. 4 times 4 is 16. And now I'm going to rewrite. And yes, I want you to rewrite. Check. Multiplication / division. Division. I'm going to draw a zoom-in box. Now here's the tricky part. Zoom in boxes include signs with M and S. Multiplication, division, subtraction, addition. Because this is really saying 16 and negative 10 divided by 2. Negative 10 divided by 2 is different than 10 divided by 2. In this problem, it doesn't make a big difference, but it will in the next one. That's our final answer. Oops. 11 is our final answer. Next one, gems. Are there any groupings? Nope. Exponents? Nope. Multiplication and division from left to right. Oh, right here. Draw a zoom-in box. That 3 comes down. 3 times 5 is positive 15. Now, after this, the sign goes with it. Because these 2 things were joined by addition. That's the operation. We could almost put a comma here to remind us that that's what was happening, not multiplication. It's hard when you don't put that sign because you don't know why those 3 and the 15 are next to each other. Negative 2. Check. Addition and subtraction from left to right. 3 plus 15 is 18 minus 2 is 16. Last problem. Gems. Groupings. Well, I have parentheses, but I know that that means multiplication because there's nothing inside the parentheses. So the G is really for inside the groups. There aren't anything inside. Exponents. Yep, we got that. I've got a 2 here, an exponent. Remember, the only thing it's touching. So that minus sign comes down. The only thing that was repeated was the 2. Times 3 minus 6 times negative 4. Put my check. Multiplication / division. Yep, got some. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. Still have some multiplication. Include the sign. Include the sign. This is now negative 12. And this is negative 6 times 4. Negative 6 times negative 4 is positive 24. Positive 24. Bring the sign. Now negative 12 plus 24 is 12. Oh, remember, don't forget you can write this. Oh, 12, have or get 24, you have 12. Those words are really handy, especially when a negative is out front, right? You can always Don't forget to keep either highlight negatives, circle negatives, or replace with words. But use your tools. It's really important. Okay, that's all you have for your notes for today. Make sure whatever you took them on gets secured into your notebook, binder, whatever you're using to keep track, and go on to the checklist and do the latest ones that are listed. I will see you all on Monday.